been 4 times, and the only team to beat them on that map so far is G2 Esports. So of course you have to be worried for Fnatic.
Yeah,
Did they ever want to change their comp?
no,
Ever.
but the thing is that Crashes can fit in. I think that he's found a lot of comforts in the Fade, and I actually really like it. Maybe I want to know how much this is ready with the little reps that they've had, you know, this year. None. Against a Vitality that has been, 1, very comfortable, and 2, very adapt to the meta.
Yeah, 100%. But do you know what? I really like this kind of arc for Crashes, playing that Fade a lot more going into this stage 1. But it's Alfie as well that I'm looking at, being back on that Sentinel. We mentioned this last week, how strong he is on that agent and how much value he can bring when he's on that.
I can't wait to see it. What a fantastic way to start this match as well. Mitch and Tom, I hope we continue to get some brilliant Valorant on map 2.
Well, give me a few more overtimes. I won't complain. Fnatic and Vitality has already delivered 18-16 on map number 1, and it goes in favor of Vitality. Now they come in on their home turf on Lotus, where they wanted to see the battle go down today. Let's see if it's going to be an easy closeout to the game, or if Fnatic can bring something fresh to the server. Tom, when it comes to compositions, they've not done that.
No, I think this is the 22nd time in a row that they've run this composition. So, yeah, definitely not the freshest of compositional ideas. And especially with the way that I think Vitality play, it's going to be interesting to see if this still works without the same pieces of the puzzle as effectively as it did. The thing is, though, Fnatic have always been happy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, exactly. Let's see if Vitality can break Fnatic's toys as we move into a deep push from Kayak. He's been spotted. Safe. Taking his HP bar down to the last. The early fight from Fnatic wasn't intended to be B. It's going to take a bit of space and embed Alpha there. Sending it back towards A is a risk. Having given up this space to the push up that you'll typically see from teams. You know that you should be expecting someone on rubble, but not so ready for kicks. Still, he only finds 1 before going down.
Get quite a bit further. Maybe they would have expected. No, Durka is waiting and watching. That now leaves this as quite a one-dimensional take from the side of Fnatic. It seems like there's a decent idea. They're safe. Shrouded out
30 seconds
by that
left.
VIT utility means that they might just have an opportunity to try and put the pressure onto Sivov.
He is all alone, and with that door open, his back is now compromised. Wants to fight forward, and good for the first. That's all he's getting this time. Crashies knows there's a fight brewing with Safe, but has to go back to cover the plant. 10 seconds left. And it's time to get that spike on the floor. Durka dropping down's being heard, but there was no chance to stop the defuse, or the plant, I should say. The defuse now certainly coming through. Spoilers ahead. Big flank from Les, and it's good to see he's still got that gameplay up his sleeve, even here on Lotus.
Yeah, it seems to make very little difference what map or even what agent you put Les on. He's always going to be behind you. You've always got to watch out. I also want to just bring in a stat that I think was truly ridiculous. So I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want you to look this up.
Okay.
Versus GX.
Oh, God.
There were 15 opening duels. How many do you think that Vitality won?
Ooh. GX can be a little aggro at times. I'm going to go in for 10.
14.
4? That's a few more.
Yeah. So
Out of 15?
Yes,
Ooh,
it was a 13-2. So they won
Toxins going up.
almost every single opening duel. So obviously a hugely dominant performance from them, but I have to wait and see if they can do a similar sort of display versus Fnatic, and more so if it will matter. This has been an incredible match for them. The only defeat they've had was when they faced up against G2, obviously one of the best teams in the world, and every other team they face, they've got a minimum of 8 rounds on the attack. And in most cases in EMEA, they've got at least 10. Well, they have got 10.
I was twinged a bit when you say G2, the best team in the world, or one of the best, just thinking on the last time that was true before that roster, and it was when Valorant was played in a very different way.
Yeah.
Glad we're past those times now.
Yeah, and then they got 13-0 by Gambit. So, you know, things change. Safe,
Clashing of styles.
solid position. Obviously, only has a pistol. Same can be said for the entirety of opponents. Oh dear, Chronicle. You've been left behind. You've been left out to dry unless... Oh, already good for one. Now the rifles come into play. See, the goal here is to keep things as clean as possible. A plant would be nice for Boaster, but not quite a millisecond away. Chronicle, who was left behind. Oh, you know what? He's going to get away with one. Always seems to. And that is a Bulldog in hand. There's a part of me that wonders if he goes for damage or if he just chucks out the map.
Yeah, 15 seconds left. He could even run and carry it through, but he'll have the credits in the next. Doing a dent to Vitality here could be worth it, but the players he'll fight might not all have weapons, and one shot landed should get that Bulldog back into play. Durka even dropped the Outlaw, so one of his closer teammates could pick it up. Nicely done by Vitality, not too much lost, a 2-0 start. And like we said, you know, Fnatic 5-0 up on the last map, climbed back after Vitality took the lead, brought us to an overtime. Had many opportunities to close it out. Now, looking at the games yesterday, Tom, we've seen that crumble teams mentally, but I would be astonished if that was the case for Fnatic. Let's see if they can take this third round, though. Whether they're crumbling mentally or not, this will certainly lift your spirits.
I think no matter what, I won't, even if they get stomped here, I won't argue it's down to mental. I think this team has done way too much. I might argue that it's down to Vitality being insane. And while Durka peeking into a position that is being held not only by Chronicle but also by Alfia, and he still manages to quickly deal a death blow. This is going to again cause havoc. It removes that Viper wall that we love to see utilized to take space. Instead, they're just going to do things that little bit more quickly. Les has now been maneuvered away from the C site because of that aggressive fight that they took. He now supports on A.
Bomb buddy out.
Paranoia is going to keep them back a little longer. With that deep information we're talking about for Durka, yeah, they know, they're ready for this blitz to come through on the A site. Salvos to slow as soon as the door opens. Whoa, that was almost a big mistake.
Down A.
Pressure on, and Safe knows it. Body's coming around the corner, he's down below in the well. Creeps around the backside as well, barely avoiding Alfier's gaze. And the 2 versus 4, thanks to that shot, maybe even having a plant in it. Him planting, you're never going to expect Boaster to still be in rubble till they hear his steps. They just heard him running. Durka was well within range, and you can see, oh, maybe not. Maybe not, yeah, must have missed it.
Alfia's aggressive position, this could even things up if he wins the fight. Not clean, but he does get the kill. That's all that matters. Puts things back into a 2v2, and they've expected Boaster to run away, to go back to try and join his teammate. The thing is, that tap, it forces Alpha's hand, but he still manages to survive. In fact, he takes over. What a play from Alfia. A round that looked dead and buried, but put this man back on a killjoy, and he'll deliver.
It's good to see him smiling down there early on. Had a bit of a shaky start to split and a few whiffy moments as well.
Finished.
But this was looking very clean. Again, I feel like those 2 or 3 steps were heard, but it can be hard in the moment to put those pieces together. Alfia, a bit whiffy up top as well, but onto Durka and finishing off kicks with ease. The beast is back. Well, let's see if that holds true. A 4-piece for Alpha and a round for Fnatic, but a full buy coming through from their opponents now. They had a lot of weapons to fight with in the last. This one will look that little bit better.
Definitely an opportunity loss for Vitality. How that round started off, I think Boaster being able to get him from behind, but also just not being able to isolate Alfia. Like, he was basically at one point in like a 1v maybe 3 on the site. There was also mention that those 1vx, 2vx haven't really been happening too often. Well, that was one of them.
Time to jump.
Base being taken. Durka, the first point of contact, doesn't want to overface, and actually, Kayak has found 2 with utility and a shot.
Yeah, Les going down to the nade as well has opened the site completely for Fnatic. A plant and a man advantage to work with. Alpha and Crashies could even come out of this round with ult online, but wouldn't really need it considering Vitality are pretty low in terms of credits. That may come into play. They even decide to go for this 3 versus 4. They lose 1 player and it's time to fall back. They see an onslaught of utility and it may just be the same. Salvos and a pop flash inside the smoke. Kix has got the cover he needs to follow through on that kill without disruption. But when they step a little wider, Kayak and Alpha ready to clean up, all on Siva. And no idea that Crashies has wrapped around! What an adjustment!
I don't know if he has
The
time.
newcomer down to the last few seconds, but not quite enough. That was a clean engagement, but a fight that still goes to Fnatic.
Yeah, you have to give credit to Crashies for the timing. Knowing just about when he needed to peak, but that is really unlucky for Sivov. Again, that looked like a round that was done and dusted with the initial take and the hold, but he somehow made that one incredibly competitive, and even just the quick reactions at the end.
They got all these freebie rounds last game, so now it's time for us to get some.
Clearly boasts the feeling they should have won the last one. Already. Alfio immediately dealing with Durka, and this was an aggressive push that we've seen a few times. Warns the mound. However, the response being a rubble take, and while patiently playing as a squad to make sure that, okay, they're not going to be able to steal the gun away. They're not going to be able to get too much out of this one.
Stun salvo combo almost works out, but you hit it onto the player who can just blast back away. A little unlucky. You can see if they went for it just a second or two ago, they would have had 4 players caught, and Kayak would have made it out, but the rest be in the dirt. Instead, they've rotated. As expected in a round like this, when you have those pistols, you're very rarely going to stick into it full default with 40 seconds left. The best play, and really the only chance most of the time, is to group up and approach the round as a unit. Now, it's not worked out to disrupt the plant. The C site taken for free, and Fnatic able to set up into post plants. We talked earlier about Alfia and Crashies potentially having ult for this, and indeed they do it. But again, seeing them, if they commit even one of those ults, Vitality can be pretty happy about that. They won't deal the damage to the weapons, but at least the ult economy will go down. Realistically, their goal here is not even to bait out ultimates. It's not to win the round. It's simply to sit outside of B main and wait for Fnatic to come knocking. Then they can make it really costly.
Already cleared way too much space outside of B. I think Fnatic realizing that something's afoot. Just opt to run back in the other direction. Maybe an assist or two for Timmy the turret, but no, it's just going to be the spike. Obviously denying all of those additional orbs to their opponents, but Fnatic will take the lead. Now, something I want to just premise again, when you look at this map, Vitality have had some, frankly, ridiculous attack sides. Again, you're talking about 8 rounds playing T1 at Masters, 10 rounds versus GX, 10 rounds versus Team Liquid. They are incredible at the attack side of this map. And you look back historically, that was also where Fnatic thrived. They were very, very good at the attack side with this composition, their late rotations and how they control the map. So I think obviously important for Fnatic to put up a good stint, but even 4 or 5 rounds at times can be enough on the defense.
Well, we have 6 ultimates online coming into this round. 3 for Vitality, 3 for Fnatic. But Fnatic side has the higher impact ones a lot of the time. Crashies and Alpha to clear space, and Kayak to claim some heads, or do just the same as the others. And this is why they can be much slower in their approach to this early round. They don't need to have a lot of space to springboard off of, especially when you're pushed up like that in B main. So often you're going to see just the Killjoy ultimate put into play there. Maybe. Kayak's good. He is dancing around those shots, waiting for them to run out of ammo, and as they retreat and reload, he pushes on. That'll get them a plant, and again, we talk about the crowd control, just running the clock down. He won't get a kill with the showstopper, but he's got them a plant.
The worry is that they now need to do something else, because I think the plan was maybe to try and delay with the lockdown. That got removed with the spam, trying to push onto Siva, and they've done well. The bait into that wrap back around. The thing is, though, they didn't actually end up planting. They're now going back over to the A site with the spike, almost trying to sell this ruse, and with the Rolling Thunder on the other side, safe for Durka combining. It looks like Fnatic might have overcooked this one a little bit. The spike now has to go back once again, and sure, on a site hold, in a 1 versus 3, it was basically going back to the last map, Crashy's managed to thrive. This would have to be the best of them, already giving away his position. Sure, he'll take down Durka, but there was nothing more to be had.
Yeah, the fact that Dirk is able to push up behind on C there for free, it essentially trades back. Chronicle was able to catch Sivov off guard by making that late play towards A main, and then Durka did exactly the same to him. The sight hold as well, the Rolling Thunder committed by Kicks got them so much. And again, sort of from the start, once Alfier gets picked off through the wall, that's what opens the door for Durka to make this play. That's when Durka says, okay, I've been holding this, no one's here, I'll push up because
I got your up.
They're not going to catch me. They're not going to hit me with a turret. I'll be able to sneak up, get a shot off, and gate crash out. And it wasn't even needed. 3-3. Vitality biting right back, and well, Fnatic had the lead for a moment, but a fleeting one.
2 ultimates utilized as well. However, lockdown and maybe a Chronicle Viper's Pit might finally be seen. It is a mystery to us. Can just fight for that orb. A lot of the time the defense are not going to play this far forward. In fact, it's interesting, the C site is where we've basically seen Durka almost every single round. Like, they are happy to just take the control, have him posted up in case anybody wants to try and fight that direction. But it then just allows them to bolster the other side of the map. You're seeing 3 play outside A. Information already found onto Kayak as well, and they're going to make a play off this.
God, they've walked straight through the door. Sivov, they knew he was there, but a little bit too late. Did the pieces connect? And Durka's push up. You lose that fight on A main, you got to go somewhere else. You got to take space. For a moment, it looked like they would go walking right into that operator, but instead, the B site is their new target. Alpha, 56 HP. But an ult online if they want to use it. Keep an eye on the gate crash for Durka as well. That's going to fade out. In fact, just now it disappears. He's now stranded.
30 seconds.
Starts to back off.
Especially with them around that door to see. He's got to be careful. The timing for save couldn't be worse. 20 seconds less as the last man standing. Paranoia will force him out, and he's going to take some damage as he backs away. This will be a post plant. Really something that Vitality can deny.
They'll have to fight their way back through with Durka on the off. It's not the easiest to make work on these kind of angles, and the lockdown put into play. Now we save. There's no other choice. You can't get onto that lockdown. The operator still, even if it wasn't there, a 2v4 from this position, they had to be able to at least trade out the kill, but that'll stop the play completely. Fnatic had the lead moments ago, and they will reclaim it, but they're at each other's throats in the early rounds. It's back and forth, and for Vitality, that's keeping them in with a real shot to close this 2-0. Again, what these teams have played, I know not same rosters for the most part. Certainly, Durka would have been on the other side. But historically, Vitality and Fnatic as an organizational battle always goes Fnatic's way. In all the iterations of Vitality, they've taken 2 maps off of Fnatic. So coming in today with a 1-0 and a real chance to not just beat them,
It's a shit
but
bot
2-0, brutalize them. That's going to put Vitality in a good mental state, especially with this being their map pick. And like you said, second half, they move to the attack. All they got to do here is keep it close.
Yeah, that's the goal. But I will say, like, again, you win the pistol second round, and then 4 of the 5 have gone the way of Fnatic. They're definitely looking like they're building into this half with a clear game plan. Like, they go back for the same B take, knowing that, okay, if we get into the post plant, that lockdown is just so oppressive. Like, you're looking to try and get back into the site, but you have to give up every single piece of control. So you hit that timing maybe 10 seconds after you plant. Firstly, the clock runs down, but also it's almost impossible because you then have to re-clear everything you've just had to give up because of that lockdown. What I will say is now the ults have flipped. It's sure Crashes has been able to farm up a few more orbs to try and get back that Nightfall that was utilized in round number 6. But other than that, Dimensional Drift, and more importantly that Armageddon, we have seen so many ludicrous plays combining the Armageddon with the salvos, be it to clear a site that's been taken or just to deny a plant in general.
Vitality, like you said, ult's coming online for them moving into this 3-4. But the damage they've been doing in some of these rounds hasn't been enough to keep Fnatic in a risky spot, right? They don't just have one buy round to win and then they're into winning ways, get that little bit of a lead. Fnatic built up quite a bit of credits. Dispensing those ults in the last round certainly helped out. See if the difference can be made here on the server. And again, when we look at how things went in that previous map, Tom, it was a very slow start for Durka. It was a quick start for Kayak, and it seemed like a real diff between the two. Durka woke up towards the end, heated up into that map, and by the looks of it, into the series as well. A much better face to him, and also you can understand it when so much of his value on Split was the operator in those aggressive spots early on. Well, this map, that's a playstyle that just thrives here on Lotus. So I expect, yeah, he's 6-4 right now, but with the op coming online only more recently, I think it's going to get a whole lot better for Durka and a whole lot more difficult for Fnatic to fight for that early space.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, because I feel like this is a map where I even think back to, I think it was Safe getting his team qualified to an event, I think it was Champs, by getting an ace to close out. Individually, he's always been fantastic on this map. The problem, though, is I think when you face off against Fnatic on Lotus, and you're that IGO, you're that leader, the guy who has to make a lot of the calls, you need to be so focused in. There's a squad that I think Boaster does an excellent job of taking back map control midway through a round and then quick switching to another side. I think B is the prime example. You get that door control. Maybe in some cases you even get B, but you can still quickly maneuver through the doors or even going just back through that broken door towards the A site. And if you're caught up, we even saw it a couple of rounds ago where he was looking just, okay, I haven't seen anything on B in ages, I'll walk away, and the second he stepped, he's immediately finished off. So I want to see if his individual level might suffer a little bit just because of what's going to be going on the Fnatic side with those calls, with that rotation. And I think they've been caught a couple of times. I think it was Boaster once with that deep play back towards Rubble, and then Chronicle again doing the same thing. It feels like in those moments Fnatic are perfectly communicating and holding that ground, and sometimes Vitality get a little bit lost.
You can see that while taking a moment to get on the straight and narrow with Faded. Team Vitality, they had a tech pause. You can't talk during those. So they take themselves a tactical timeout right out of the tech. Getting on the same page, and you can see Faded firing away. With what he's been watching from the sidelines, it's 4 out of 5 rounds have gone to Fnatic. It's 4-3 on the board with Vitality in with a real chance thanks to ultis coming online, thanks to Operator in play. But considering they were 2-0 up, yeah, recency bias goes to Fnatic. Seems like the momentum, the wind in their sails. Here's where Vitality have to put them to an early stop.
Seems like the peripheral issue has been sorted. Hopefully that wasn't somebody spilling a drink. I did see Althea, and you know, I'd say there's a 50-50 chance.
Any game, any day.
Maybe he stood up a little bit too quickly, took half the desk with him.
I've seen those cups, you can hit them and they don't fall over, and it's a miracle Fnatic haven't bought him one yet.
Maybe buy him a few.
Yeah, maybe a few, just in case.
I think most players have like 17 drinks on their desk at once, so.
I've seen people come in with 4 keyboards before, so.
It's a risky game, and actually, it's a risky game that won Kayak the prize of the majority of his HP being gone. That's the reason they've had to avoid this C site, but it's also a reason that they've been able to challenge quite a lot towards B. I think Safe's definitely heard a step or two, getting that stun ready, but just because there's commitment here early doesn't mean they're going to completely commit. Bear in mind, this is a couple of rounds in a row they've head towards this B site. It could all be a ruse.
Paranoia put through. Boaster blinded, but he's up close. His senses back just in time to hear Sivov backing off. And they know that up top Rubble is clear, but what isn't clear is their back. The push up is huge from Durka, cutting off that rotation that they need from the B site. I think he's hearing the turret, knowing that he doesn't want to be baiting it. No, it's actually looking the wrong way. He even steps out into heavy traffic, knowing he wants to flank up on A. Ingles the Tay-hold, Armageddon, slowing them down on the A site, drawing them into battles. They step forward on B, they step forward on A, and no ground really taken until now. The 2-piece pickup, and they've avoided Durka's ire by a matter of seconds with a Viper's pit down from Chronicle, by the way, at long last. That makes it difficult for Durka, has to give up the operator.
And they know he's there now as well. The alarm bot went offline perfectly. Time for him to get their dimensional drift used to try and clear out positions, wanting to try and get rid of Crashies, but Crashies still wins that fight. And now for Durka, he's got to try and find Not only the Viper, but some space to play with. Went back. Has at least a little bit of extra HP, but that is ticking away. Needs Chronicle to fall, and he finds the headshot, but has to be wary of the player behind. That is Crashy's waiting just on the edge. Fnatic, it came close, losing some fights, but again, it's that quick movement, that quick switch back to the A site that works perfectly for them, catching a couple of players around that door position. And they now extend that lead a little further.
Phenomenal play by Crashies as well. This is a round that looked done. It looked to be in the gutter, and a big three-piece from him. The first two getting them.
I've got the cleanest guns in the West. I need a permit for mine.
Never heard anyone chat more waffle at the end of rounds. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Good spirits. I'll tell you that. Keeps
it
the
must be
smiles on
hard
the
to
face.
be in a bad mood when someone just says stuff like that at the end of every round.
Yeah. No, he's a tough guy to be in a bad mood around. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'd say that for most of Fnatic, it is just like, you look at it as a vibes team. We've seen that. I've seen Crashies popping the dances, but outside of that, they've cut the skill. They're some of the best pieces to any puzzle that you could possibly wish for. Vitality, well, they're not able to put all the pieces together here. It's down to Sheriffs. A lot of weaknesses here on the defense, and on the attack, maybe you got a chance. Group up and just look to snowball into them. But on the defense, that's a little bit more difficult to do, especially on a map with 3 sites. At least on Split, you go A or you go B. But here, there's a tertiary option.
Yeah, and also just the way that Fnatic plays. As I said, they're constantly changing up late into the round. So even if you gambled and then you heard them go another way, you might have gambled correct at the beginning, and then you second guess yourself, you get picked apart, and well, they are currently being picked apart. Seaboth. Well, that's not gone to plan. Sheriff can be unkind. Unfortunately, that is now the spike crossing to the site. Eventually, will get the job done. At least finding one, you can see a slightly safer position being chosen, just to make sure there isn't really a chance, although another pick coming up. This position, though, should be nasty. I don't know how they're making this round competitive. That's a little whiffy, but the job gets done in the end. A 2 versus 2, make that just 1, and Boaster from the flank, I think, has done enough. Sibo to try and fight versus the remaining 2, and well, eventually a mini heart attack, but Fnatic get it over the line.
I was getting ready to be a little critical, because in a round like this where you're looking at pistols for your opponents, and I think the read should have been there, not just from press and tab, but also from what they'd already seen. That man didn't have a weapon, nor did the second pickup that they found from Boaster in mid, or in B, I should say. And the thing is, he goes up into heaven. This leaves the rest of Fnatic 3 players on the site, but they don't have control over their back. They don't have control over door. They have heaven, but they don't have the spawn side towards Waterfall.
The worst high five of all time, Ben.
Yeah, I was about to say, you need to work on the synergy, lads.
But honestly, that came down to Boaster. If he doesn't have success on the flank, then the round was thrown away by the lack of control. But instead,
a jump spot.
It works out wonderfully.
Look at where he actually died. It doesn't even look like he's out far enough to even take any damage. That's a big start, a switch up, trying to maneuver Durka into new positions, putting less over on C instead. And with him gone, you can already see that has been completely claimed by Kayak. Also, if the orb is still there, that could be a little bit too much.
They thought that he was in heaven, though. I think he had the right play there. Like, you're trapped, you're surrounded, you've got to spring on something. And especially with them thinking he's on the other angle, that's where the danger lies, that it would be a split through to B. It makes sense. Deep aggression from Kayak, knowing that Boaster had drawn forces in the other direction. And indeed, Showstopper online now, but that should be used as a safety net, especially now. 4v2, no need to throw it in. Even the nade there, delaying them further. And I think Vitality, whether they are a big fan of a Waterfall retake or not, I don't really care. I think they're just falling back to save these weapons. And for Fnatic, that's exactly what they hope for. 7 rounds, now guaranteed to be on the board. And with 4 alive and op saved over as well, they're set to close out this half in a very strong position.
That's the thing, though. The early fight from Alfia, having that operator, that was basically set up as a denial for Durka. He's been peeking out most rounds, as I said. He's been controlling that. So that was Alfia, well, being the alpha and just taking that clear fight. Kayak's made a bit of a slip up and gone down to the spike, but I don't think it's going to do too much damage to the economy. But instead, I think it was actually just a jump spot from Les that I believe barely even showed anything. I'm hoping we'll have the replay of it. It must have been, literally just nothing. And that's enough Alfia to take the opener. And by that point, you've kind of lost so much control. Like, they had a free walk into C. And yeah, that's...
I thought I'm safe here.
Yeah, they had a free walk into C, but again, this is Boaster going for the TP deep into spawn, surviving on 10 HP, and making the call many players wouldn't, but many players should, of Durka just shot me. He almost took me down. I survived a brush with death. I'm out of here. Runs in the other direction and forces them to hunt him down. That's what buys the C site. For Fnatic almost for free.
Careful. This has been a rough half so far for Vitality. We've sung the praises of their attack half, but really do need something to play with, and Fnatic have been adapting throughout, be it with varying takes, be it with denial of C-site in the last. Now what looks like a much more direct hit in towards this A-site.
Oh, slowed completely, but he's got plenty of time still on that showstopper. Up close, and it's a big hit. Less down, nade, chasing, kicks, and he's in trouble with the C's. Just about staying alive, but look at the reinforcements. They're all coming in. Durka from the back might be able to find value. In fact, he'll be pushed all the way back by Alphayer. While the take is coming into the B site, the space that was given up by Vitality trying to reinforce the back of A ends up biting them in the back as Fnatic tap the spike on B and now avoid this walk-up. This could have been disastrous if we saw Durka able to capitalize. Instead, they make it to the C site, minus Alphayer. Also the latest round of all time.
It seemed like they had an idea over on the Vitality side that they might opt to switch back. And yeah, you mentioned it. This is a late rotation coming through, maybe a little bit too late. Boaster needs to hold the line for Chronotool to get back in time. As he watches, now knowing his teammates up close, but needing to try and deny. If there was someone spamming it, coming through on the other side, Chronicle's actually managed to find one more, but Kix is still waiting patiently. Chronicle trying to face off versus 2, needs a little bit more. Shots connected, but Kix is just sticking the defuse, even let's go. It takes a lot for Vitality to finally get back onto the board, but with 4, they close that gap at least a little.
Well, maybe even enough. 8-4, a much easier half to recover on, and well, we're not done yet. It could be a 7-5 half in their favor, a streak from Fnatic. 7 out of 8 rounds, but finally put to bed here. And in a round where they use that showstopper for the pick onto Les, it's remarkable. What a job by Seavelf up top, by Safe containing that deeper aggression. I think the over-rotation of the A site almost cost them, but the fact that they filled in the gaps so quickly stopped Fnatic from being able to take advantage of the space that was given for free. So really well handled under pressure. 3 players stacked up on C, and early on, Kayak wanted to go there for the pick. It's probably a good job he did.
Just to get rid of that turret. We've seen it a couple of times, and it's just to put further doubt in the minds of Fnatic.
Drone is down.
Sending through the drone. That's going to be the Rolling Thunder, a very aggressive take, but Chronicle still manages to land a couple of shots from afar. I don't mind the idea, but not being able to fight from the player so deep. They look to run back away. They've left Les alone. Bear in mind, he does have the Viper's Pit and only a Spectre, so at some point, if he is going to utilize it, it needs to be soon. But this was all a ruse. Again, the push and pull that Fnatic put through on this map, they baited out the Viper's Pit, and they're not even going that way.
I don't know. Oh, look at the position of Kix. Oh, the flash is too deep.
He didn't know.
Chronicle's on for the 3rd, and this is a beautiful read from Fnatic. Not that play, but the start of the round. They knew Vitality had pushed up when the alarm bot was broken as an addition. The reaction, I don't know if we'll hear it on the comms, but Alpha clearly called for it. They wrapped back, they were ready for that push-up. The response from Chronicle covering his teammates as the Rolling Thunder came in, keeping them alive and keeping the chances for this round alive single-handedly. 4 kills. He's down on 2 HP, and he'll not get a chance to bring the Viper's Pit online. It's the last round of the half. Les is walkabouts. He is running out of time quickly. And I think at this point, you might almost just save the weapon for the stats.
Yeah, what can you even do at this stage? Yeah, you're
done.
a 1 versus 4. Spike is ticking, you're on the other side of the map, you got completely baited by Fnatic, like playing early, like denying that aggression and then just sprinting over towards that side of the map. He'll get himself one extra kill just to improve his stats for the VLR scoreboard readers, but ultimately a stellar half coming through from Fnatic.
And more importantly, he got his cast up, and that's what it's all about. A nice 8-4 cushion for Fnatic. Let's see if it's enough for them to bring us to map 3 after the break. Welcome back, folks. 8 rounds for Fnatic, a 4-round lead, and they're looking to bring us to map 3. But first, they have to best Vitality on their own pick. And now, Vitality moved to the attack side. They scrounged together a couple rounds, quite literally 2 rounds, after the pistol and the follow-up anti-eco. So it's been a slow start for Vitality, but there's been moments, there's been sparks, and again, Sivov, one of the best debuts that we've seen. And he's continuing on his work for Vitality, pulling the sled from the front. Here. 4 rounds in it. This pistol could close the gap, or it could make this a real uphill battle. Durka not liking the latter.
An 8-4 half in the last map was not enough for Fnatic to take it over the line, and we've mentioned throughout, the Vitality looks so comfortable when it comes to the attack side of Lotus, so much so that a lot of the time we don't get to see much of their defense. Kayak realizing he needs to try and pad the gap after Chronicle is lost immediately. Does a little bit of chip damage, but has to fall off. It seems like they're going to head towards the C site now. There are positions that I think players have earned a title for, and whenever I think of this C site, I think of Althea. Without the majority of his utility, an alarm bot and his turret currently watching towards the B site. If they do go this way, it's just down to that man and his pistol.
Well, you might be calling for the orb to go up, but that's not possible with Chronicle down in the dirt. Alphier gonna follow suit, as is Boaster. A convincing set of opening duels for Vitality. And it looks like that scoreline is about to get a whole lot closer. Considering half of their rounds come off the back of winning the pistol in the first half, it is certainly a breath of fresh air to see them keep themselves in. And after such a close map number 1, we know they've got it in the tank. 5-8. The gap closes, and Fnatic should be on an eco.
Yeah, not expecting a defensive side force. I'd be very surprised to see anything of the sort, but it would have been nice for Fnatic, in fact, on both maps to get the pistol in that second half. Just be able to give themselves a little bit of a boost. Because, as I said, once Vitality get rolling on the attack side, it can be very difficult. I will say, I think Fnatic will have known this map is coming in the veto, though. If there was any side of any map that I would have looked to counter, looked to break apart, this would be the one. Look for tells, look for ideas of what your opponents have been doing and try to break them up. Now, obviously, Fnatic are going to be confident. It's the Lotus. It has always been a great map for them. But right now, even though the scoreline is firmly in their favor, it is definitely not over.
Here.
Dead right. About those adjustments, about reading into Fnatic's play. What was it you said earlier, Tom? 2023 they've been running this comp since.
Yeah. Well, this is the 22nd time in a row.
If you
they've
don't have
not
enough data
shied
there,
from it even once.
yeah, if you don't have enough data there to see how what their ideas are, what their objectives are, at least in terms of comp coming into this, you probably shouldn't be here. I think Vitality so far, they've had their reads at times, but Fnatic coming ahead in a lot of those battles. This one should not be one of them. Classics across the board, numbers towards C and B. Vitality have left the door open for a rotate back. I thought they were going to go for that. Instead, it's going to be Les crossing over, who runs into two. Okay, runs through two of them, never mind.
Yeah, now it's just a free push back towards the other side of the map. I think they even had salvos to deny any cheeky peeks that could have come in from the corner. Those 2 kills completely changed the stature of this round, and while Vitality are still pulling in that sort of FPX style of purchase, you've got 2 pistols that you can afford to lose, and then 3 rifles. If they keep all 5 players up, or even if they keep 3 up, they're going to be coming in with an incredibly strong-looking bonus.
So far, it's not looking like there'll be any dents delivered, although they're going pushing into the buggy. Well, that's going to quickly put to bed the flawless, in-zone flawless as it would have been. But from here on out, what can you do?
Give them a shout anyway.
You know,
You feel like they deserved it?
I do. I think they've well and truly earned it with their support.
Well, 8-6. Both pistols, both follow-ups, now under the belt of Vitality. But this is the round where things truly get interesting. You might be thinking, well, Tom, this is normally a bonus. This is one you'd heavily favor to the side of Fnatic, but with those weapons being held over to the next round, 2 players not investing, able to buy back up into this one. And at least, from what I can currently see on the board, it looks like Durka might immediately invest into the operator. Mitch, I'm sure you're slightly more excited about a different gun.
I am indeed. The big boy out on Boaster. One of my favorite players to see utilize this weapon, although it has fallen by the wayside in recent memory. He's always consistent at spamming this door. Man after my own heart. Timing's good for him. Has to set up a smoke. And for Durka especially, being here, knowing who you're up against, that's a brave play. You know how this guy likes to play. The trigger finger, the only difference between an opening pick for Boaster, Vitality being able to approach this late round with their operator still intact. For now, looks like they will keep it. Oh, I could have spoken too soon. It's on his head.
Don't say it too loud. Maybe Boaster will hear you.
Over that white noise, I would be impressed if he can hear anything.
Look at the aggression, though. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Kayak in a solid position, Spike on the deck. Retrieving that is not going to be easy, and you can already see the rest of the team are having to try and hightail it back in the other direction. This aggression wasn't spotted out, and Vitality were basically looking for it for the majority of the round. Waiting for some support.
30 seconds left.
Durka's operator will be that first point of contact, looking for the head, but doesn't get anything, and Alfia immediately swings. Les has taken space on B and does manage to win the fight, but they need to get that spike first. Immediately teleporting away, but teleporting straight into the hands of Boaster with the Odin. The spike down, but it was irrelevant, as Chronicle managed to remove his doppelganger. And Fnatic break back immediately. Now, the problem with that bonus, Mitch, is although it was a bonus, they did buy an operator. So not only is that going to go into their opponent's hands, but also that takes the economy low enough that there is now a piece missing.
Exactly. We're bolstering the Fnatic buy, and at the cost of your own economy. Certainly not an ideal scenario for Vitality to be fighting up against. 3 rounds in it, and a weak weapon sent into the hands of Safe. He'll be playing his salvos most of the round, and I think they'll give him a more passive role. Off rip, the spams are coming through, and they've done damage. Les is down to 58. He might be relegated to the Stinger.
I reckon he didn't spam it in the last round just for the surprise factor.
Could be, yeah. Do it in the more
maybe they won't
round.
expect.
Well,
No, it's not even that. They wouldn't expect me to buy it, but now they know I have it. I'll just spam.
Could well be. The back off. Paranoia used to buy a little bit of space, but that stun is perfect. Boaster has to send it to the backside. Salvos are chasing him down, keeping him honest. Only one corner he can really fight from, and Crashies ends up going down, but Chronicle from the side, picking up a few. Stinger on Safe, alongside his salvos, have brought this back to even territory. Fnatic still have Chronicle, though. He's tearing through the back lines as they push into the site. It's only the first players through that end up breathing late. Safe and Kicks. And they're up against it with the operator of Kayak and the utility clearing down below. Safe needs that pick up top.
That's the thing, his position revealed. This fight might be everything and has to turn tail. And unfortunately for him, that's the moment Kayak strikes. Althea combining, that's another on the board. And after winning the bonus, or winning, sorry, against the bonus, and now winning with the rebuy, Fnatic have put themselves in a fantastic spot. A map that historically has always been theirs, but in recent times, Vitality took their crown, at least in EMEA. They now sit 3 rounds from taking us to a map 3, taking us to Haven. Which, if we're being honest, you look at the comp that Vitality was running for a long time on that map, it was taken from Fnatic themselves. Teacher versus Padawan. The question of who that master may be.
Lots of damage, and Chronicle the one to pick up the kill. The spams here from Fnatic, such an annoyance for the early rubble control. It's the 9. Vitality move to the B site. Sivov already in, and he's picked off one with Kicks following through. That's the site claimed. It's upgrades found in a plant. Not yet being solved. After they're going into Kayak, this could be a big problem. Where do you go now? The showstopper's on your tail. And that's the spike down in spawn. Last man standing. He's gonna go pushing right into the waiting arms of the off. He survives. But now he's sent forward by the nade, a second bite of the cherry for Kayak, and he devours the remaining players for Vitality.
Even when things look to get a little bit scary in the mid-round, it seemed like Kayak had a very good read on the scenario, posting up, just waiting for them to try and rotate back towards that C site. It has felt like throughout, Fnatic have been slightly ahead in a lot of those calls.
That's so annoying to play against, man.
I'd say as well, Chronicle is having one hell of a map. Like, that's always the toughest thing, I think, when facing up. Yeah, moving swiftly on. The toughest thing when facing off against this Fnatic is that I feel like when Chronicle is online, it's almost impossible to win. Like, you have to be on your A game every single time, and are currently 16 and 12. Vitality have taken a pause. Maybe a last-ditch effort. As said, in EMEA, their attack sides have been formidable, but they are yet to get themselves a buy round. And in fact, that's been the story of this game. 2 individual rounds is all they've managed to garner throughout, excluding those pistols and seconds. I think the guys on Fnatic have got to be feeling incredibly confident moving forward into Haven. It really would feel like anyone's game. I thought, like, with Split going Vitality's way, this match was firmly in their hands. Theirs to lose. The Fnatic has proven that they were well worthy of the test.
Alarm bot out.
We're going to get a little bit of a blitz down from Fnatic again. That early rubble control we so often see, at least being feigned out. Yeah. Poster still with the big old gun. Clearly feeling like the spams have been working. Maybe he took a look at the tab.
He's a bit further forward with the spams now, though. Before it was through a wall. Now he's just right up close.
He's realized the only thing that saved them last time was that wall. Let's take their map shields away. Fair enough. Big ult from Durka. Lots of info found.
They found Chronicle.
They didn't. I don't think they saw Chronicle, no. No, they didn't.
They definitely didn't. Sivov has teleported into the site. He was frustrated about not receiving info. Now he's not giving it out. He was too busy looking to try and hunt down Althea. And it is a blitz on the site, and in-zone flawless. After the pause, that's moments after, Faded has taken time to explain how those ults can be used, where we can put those into play. And they get nothing.
Oh, it was Kicks signaling the end of the round, screaming out, off your feet. Their legs are swept out from under them through a snake bite is an ambitious play. And with 2 players ready to spam you down, there was no way they were getting away with that one. Chronicle feeling his impact now, 18 and 12. And the snakebite assisting. The other kills, what is that? Kayak's taking him down. The spams have gone out of control. Durka tries to match them pound for pound, but he comes up short.
You dare try and use his own spell against him. That one's never going to work. An easy amount of damage, but taken by either side. An early advantage here for Fnatic. A fantastic haunt coming out from Crashies. You look at the ultimates, those are in their favor. Kayak, deep control on it. Where do you even go at this stage? You now have Boaster bolstering B. And even this nasty little trap play. You got the Viper's Pit. You go, okay, well, they blocked off C. And this is what happened in the last round. They targeted Althea. You know that this guy is going to be lurking in that spot. And now he's moved up. Buddy, you've got someone literally touching your back right now. Being caught out by the audacity of this Fnatic squad. The TP's not going to work. The Viper's Pit integrity is still there. And you can even see the reposition on B. Crashies has taken back control, expecting them to come through, expecting them to clear his angle. He's punching. What is that from Chronicle? Just a spam through his own pit. Seamoff, good luck, my friend. It's another in-zone flawless. Fnatic as clean as ever to close out this map.
Whose map pick was this again? They looked so clean here, and you talk about looking at the data. Well, it just got a whole lot better for Fnatic, 1-1. We're going the distance in this series after so many OTs. We were due a quick map, 13-6. We'll see you after the break.
Oi, oi, oi. They lost to V5, bro. They lost to V5. They're nervous now.
The beast is back. You keep doing your live shots, okay? You keep doing your live shots.
Holy shit, bro. I thought I'm safe here.
My boy.
Good boy.